Hello, and welcome to Health and Fitness Redefined. I am your host, Anthony Amen. Join me today as we take a dive into the world of health and fitness, where we learn how to overcome adversity, depict fact versus fiction, and see health and fitness in a whole new light. Today, we have a very special guest, Justin. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Anthony, I'm so excited to be on and to be able to spend some time with your listeners.
Me too, man. For those that don't know, Justin actually has his own podcast, Fitness Business Foundations. I was a guest speaker on his show about a month ago.
Yeah, it was about a month ago. Maybe actually, I believe a little over a month ago. It was.
Time has been
right
gone.
Yeah. It was a whole concept of time. I think, what day is it now?
Is today Friday? I really don't know.
Yeah. Every day feels like Friday.
So we're going to have him talk a little bit about his story, why he started his podcast, and go for it, Justin. Take over.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So background on me, how I got into this industry in general. I actually started my own fitness business at 19. And I originally was actually going to school for architecture, realized that wasn't the path I wanted, wasn't the life that I wanted to live. And always had a passion for fitness, and helping people, serving people has always been a part of my life. So I went into personal training, went to school for that, got my personal training degree, and immediately started my own business. It started out just mobile, and went to people's homes and businesses, and did that for about 5-6 months. And had an opportunity to open up my first little studio, and it was about 500 square feet. So it was like a little bit bigger than a closet. But I didn't care. I was like, this is an opportunity. I'm going to take it. So I started there, doing private training. And within a year, I built up my own private training clientele to about 45 clients. And then realized I need to start leveraging my time better, and open up, which was kind of ironic because it didn't really help with leveraging my time at all. I opened up my second facility, which was a little bit bigger than the one that I had, about 900 square feet, and started doing small group training. Did that for a little bit, and had both places running because neither one was big enough to do both. So like I said, it was a little hectic for a little bit, and then made the jump to a 3,000 square foot facility. And that's when we really started kind of establishing our brand and who we were. And we're there for about 2.5 years. And then, made where our final descent was to a 6,000 square foot facility. And basically, we grew that to about 350 members. We had 8 team members. And through that process, though, I had a lot of self-discovery in myself, and a lot of internal work. And what I've learned through that process is how much I love the business side of things. And I love working, especially with fitness business owners, because they're such heart-centered people. They're all about serving. And I wasn't so much in love with the fitness side of things, of weight loss and that aspect of it. So that's when, about 11 years into our business, my wife and I, we decided that, okay, maybe this isn't the path that we continue on anymore. We need to make a change. And now's the time we need to make the change, rather than waiting to where things become more complicated. So we actually decided to walk away from the business, and pursue our new passions. And my wife is into holistic spiritual life coaching for women, and myself, I'm doing consulting with fitness businesses. So it's definitely been an interesting road, but it's like I said, your life is your education and your story, and I don't regret anything that I did to get to this point.
Wow, so you did all of that in 11 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mind
basically. Yeah. It's definitely is. It's been an interesting journey, and it's just you don't really you have plans and you have visions of where you think you're going to be, and it's so funny how things can change as you actually get into it.
Yeah, I mean, that's very similar. For those that know, I wanted to be a meteorologist.
Yeah,
And
wow.
then,
Yeah, that's quite coming out of left field there.
yeah, super fun. Let me talk about some hurricanes, and now I'm actually in a gym. Crazy.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny.
I feel like that's most people's stories, though. They just, for
Yeah,
those that truly love the business, like this was never their passion, and that's what I've learned from
yeah,
getting to talk to everyone.
yeah. No, I think I definitely agree with that.
And you sold your 6,000 square foot facility, right?
No, we actually decided not to.
Okay.
We did actually, we had it appraised and everything. Um, my issue was with selling a business like that is not easy to begin with, just because of the personal factor to it. And we actually, I mean, we got the business to the point where I barely was even going into the facility. And it was probably a good 6 months where maybe I was only in there like once a day, like once a week.
Oh
Um,
wow.
but it's still a tricky thing to sell. It's not an easy thing to sell. And I went and worked with a broker that specifically works with selling fitness businesses. And he even said, I mean, it's about a year to a year and a half to get across that finish line. And again, he even said, he's like, it's not hard to find a buyer. It's hard to get, like he said, get across that finish line and actually have the transaction happen. Because there's a lot of finesse with when you're dealing with essentially it's relationships is what you're selling. And that's a tough thing.
Yeah.
So in my mindset, my mind was already checked out of that. And I was like, I don't have it in me to wait a year to a year and a half. I don't think it's going to be worth it. And that's where we just made that decision to move on and have us be the ones to end this chapter rather than somebody else.
I got you. So you closed it up.
Yeah.
Wow, that must have been a tough choice, man.
Yeah, no, it definitely was, but it's again, it's like the things that come from decisions like that you don't expect and how things butterfly out. Some like really awesome things happened with people, and we actually like us doing that forced almost even more change in our clients than us even working with them. It was insane. It just because it was like a huge like wake up call for them to start taking control. And then even like one of our coaches finally had the kick in the butt to that she opened up her own facility, and we've been supporting her, and a lot of our equipment went to her.
Oh, wow.
So it was like a really beautiful thing to see, and like all these different things that spawned off of our decision to move forward with closing this business. That wouldn't have happened, obviously, if we sold it or stayed in it.
Yeah, so that's not, there you go. You got someone that got the little extra, all right, your turn, which is what happened to me. I got that kick in the butt from the retro fitness used to work out. He shut down the personal training department. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah. It's either do something or not.
Yeah, exactly. How much do you love what you do?
Yeah.
So let's break into a little bit, because we really haven't talked about that on our show at all. Owning a business for those that like started falling in love with fitness and all of a sudden they become a trainer, and now from a trainer they want to own a studio. So what's that process like, and what kind of guidelines can you give people if they really want to take this head first on and start their own place?
Well,
Tough question.
I think the big, there's so many different ways you can go with that. But I think that the big thing with, if you're coming from the perspective of being a trainer right now, say, like you said, like you work in like a gym or something, and you're looking to open up your own facility, is understand that once you go into that ownership position, you're no longer just a trainer. You are now a business owner. And that means you need to start learning those skills. You need to start thinking like a business owner. You cannot just be the trainer, because that's not good enough to keep a business going, because there's skills that are going to be required to make a business work that are not the same skills as obviously training somebody. So
Yeah.
that's like definitely first and foremost, that you have to come at it with that perspective. Because I've seen so many trainers, and like they'll come up to me like and frustrated because like they're very smart when it comes to what they do in their craft, but they don't get the business side of things, and they're frustrated because they see what they consider other trainers out there that aren't as good as them really doing well because they get the business side of things. And that's really important to remember, because you can be amazing in your craft, but if you don't understand how to get somebody in front of you and keep them, then it doesn't matter. There's not going to be anybody there for you to serve. So first and foremost, that's what you have to get good at, the business side of it, if you want to actually be able to do the skill side of it and working with somebody. But in the grand scheme thing is opening a business, I think first and foremost, you have to define your niche. Like you have to understand who it is your ideal client is. And that's going to evolve and change as you grow. That's natural, because I mean, things will change. That's just going to happen. But the idea is you still have a clear focus on who it is that you're attracting, and your messaging, your branding, everything comes from that. Your content, your social media posts, like everything stems from your niche and who it is that you're serving. Without that, you're just kind of firing all over the place, wasting energy, and your message is really not being heard by anybody, because it just becomes noise. You're not cutting through anything, and it's very hyper competitive now especially with the online space and everything happening now, that you have to be able to break through that noise, and you break through that noise by speaking to somebody specifically. And that's like one of the biggest mistakes that I see in a lot of businesses in general, and especially new businesses, is they don't take the time to really set foundations to their business and what they're actually operating off of. And they just hit the ground and go without even really any thought to it. And then they have to try to backpedal and fix mistakes, and then move forward and backpedal, fix mistakes. So go slow in the beginning. It's not about growth, and it's about really like falling in love with your client, and really building that relationship. Like I said, when I first started my business, in a year, I was able to grow to like 40, 45 private clients. And that was with zero ad spend, zero marketing, nothing. It was all through client experience and word of mouth. And I see like too many businesses nowadays, especially in the fitness, getting caught up in ad spend and paying for Facebook ads, and you're constantly bombarded by like these fitness gurus that like, oh, I get you 30, 40 clients a week, and it's a bunch of crap. And that's like the worst thing you can do for your business if you're not ready to scale. And most aren't. Most can't handle that. There's a big difference between scaling and growing. Growing is where you're building foundations, you're laying the foundations, like I said, like you're falling in love with your client, you're setting all the systems and everything in place. So then when you're ready to scale, you can actually handle it, and you actually are going to be able to scale, and not just create more problems for yourself. So that's the biggest thing, is like not getting caught up in that hype, and focusing on going slow to eventually go fast. So you have to put the time in the beginning. So all those people out there, like anybody out there listening that's looking or thinking about doing something, don't think you're going to be a 6-figure business in 3 months, and be able to live this lifestyle that is amazing. I mean, you can work towards that, but the thing is, you have to put that work in the beginning. You have to lay that foundation, and otherwise your business will just crumble. And you're going to be one of those businesses that have to heavily constantly market and advertise just to keep people coming in the door. And once you stop, no one's coming. And that's not a business you want to be. That's not a business that lasts through times that we're going through right now. That's not the place where you want to be ultimately.
Yeah, that's so true. Just kind of, I personally admit I've been there, made those mistakes.
Oh, absolutely. I think we all have. It's definitely part of the growth journey.
I like how you said you like backpedaled and then you had to fix something and come forward and backpedaled. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, I'm like, all right, I backpedaled there. Then I did that. Then I
Yeah,
did
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh yeah, and I say all these things from experience because I've done it myself, and I understand that, and that's part of the reason why I like the approach that I'm taking with working with different business owners is coming from the perspective of I've been there, I've done it. Let's not have you do it too. Like,
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
like, and it's like, so I've already paid the price for it.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I always people reach out to me like, "Yeah, what can I do with this?" And I was like, "Well, I made this mistake a couple of months ago. I don't recommend
Yeah, yeah,
it."
yeah, yeah. Exactly. Sometimes that's more valuable than being told what to actually do.
Yeah, exactly. Have someone to sit there and listen to. I actually started my own. I invited you to the
Yeah,
fitness
yeah.
Facebook page where I have a bunch of trainers and studio owners all on a fitness business, and we do a Zoom meeting once a week, and we really sit there and break down like, hey, you made that mistake and you made that mistake, and this is like a free networking thing we can all kind of bounce
Hmm.
around with, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's an experience is a journey, and that's part of the reason why I do that with my podcast. Obviously, is having business owners like yourself on to share your journey, because that's going to give insight into someone else, and they're going to be able to pick pieces of it and be like, oh, okay, I'm not going to do that, but that sounds really good. I'm going to try to start working on that in my own journey.
Yeah, exactly. I want to backpedal. Speaking of backpedaling right now, let's take a client, right? Someone that's been with us for a while. Do you ever sit there like, I know I do this personally myself, like my goal to my clients is to get them actually all to become trainers, because to me that's the
Mhm.
biggest rewarding thing. Do you feel the same way about that? Is there a way you used to set your clients up for success where they can really, let's say they're working a dead end job, this might be escape for them to help spread the message to the people?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what our business was built around. Most of our coaches actually were clients at one point. Uh, Actually, I would say almost, I would say 90% of our coaches, yeah, over all the 11 years were a client at one time. And that was our philosophy. Once we realized that that was the best way to go, that's where we started implementing an actual 3-month internship program
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell me
into.
about that.
Yeah, so we did a 3-month internship program, unpaid, but the transaction obviously is you're getting an education, and our requirement was a minimum of 10 hours a week in studio, and you had like different phases. So like phase one was more observing and helping out, and you had different homework with each phase to learn like obviously about like training and like our protocol and our systems, but more importantly our culture as well. And then like phase two would be like you start doing some of the coaching aspects, and so you start having a little bit more responsibility. And then phase three, uh, you actually start like say like running like a group fitness session or something like that. So like by the end of phase three, like you're pretty much up and running. And it was awesome. I mean, it really, we had people go through it that didn't really necessarily have intentions of being a coach. They wanted it to be like a life, like a lifestyle change for them. And it was like because we incorporated a lot of mindset training into it as well. So we definitely had a lot of people go through it just because of that factor, because like they wanted to be a better person. So they went through the training, and then again, like it turns out like as we close our facility, we actually we have I think like 5 or 6 members actually go out and pursue coaching now at other facilities that again they wouldn't have before. So we had a fair amount of clients actually become something in the fitness industry, just because of our approach of getting them to that point where it's either they have the knowledge to do it or they have the desire to want to do it.
That's really cool. I kind of like that. I might have to steal that idea from you.
Yeah, no, I think it's the best thing, honestly, especially with like when you're dealing with close knit communities. Every time I tried to hire from outside the community for a coaching position, it never ended up great. It never worked out. Because the biggest thing with this is it's personality and culture. The training stuff you can teach that. That's teachable. It's the personality you can't teach. It's either that person has a good personality or not. It's either that person clicks with your vibe and your culture there, or they don't. I mean, you can't force that. And there's no better way to ensure that that person is going to, if they're actually a paying client of yours, because one, they are a raving fan, obviously, enough to the point where they're going to pay you to be there. So they believe in what you're doing. So there's no question on that. And obviously they click with your culture because they're a part of it. So to me, like the two biggest hurdles for having a good coach are already taken care of by just looking within. And again, like I said, like the training aspect, that's something, that's a skill you can learn. So that never scared me to work with somebody that didn't necessarily have a training background, but had the right personality and the desire to be coachable.
Yeah, that's just kind of a really good point you're bringing up. I know we've brought this up once before, but some trainers get that fear that they're afraid to teach clients certain things because they're like, you know what, if I go and teach client A how to do all the workouts on their own, why am I useful anymore? And I feel like that's super counterproductive because now when you're not teaching the person, like what's going on? And I see it a lot of times.
Yeah, no, I feel like, because like this weird mentality out there of people thinking that that's creating job security for themselves. And that's a terrible mindset. And it's like, why are you in this industry if you're not here to serve people and you're going to withhold information that's going to help them? That's terrible. That makes no sense at all. And if anything, that person's only going to leave you because you're not actually serving them. I mean, at some point, the results aren't going to be there, and they're going to be like, okay, I'm moving on to somebody who can actually help me. So it really just doesn't help you at all to have that type of mindset around working with somebody. And the same thing even with business owners. I'll see it with them with not wanting to fully educate and teach their team everything because they think they're going to run away with it and go open up another place and steal all their members. And the reality is sometimes that does happen, but I think it would be worse if that person stayed with you and you didn't teach them. And now you have somebody part of your team that's an underperformer. So you have to weigh out the risks and the reward. And also too, I think it's something to be said for the fact that, hey, like I was able to coach this person and they now own their own business because of me, like because they worked with me. So that's a credibility booster for anybody else coming to work for you to know that, like, hey, like our program is that good to get you to the point where you potentially could be your own business owner.
I like that a lot. I feel like sometimes my staff gets mad at me for how much I want to show them. And I'm like, hey, be involved with this business paperwork. And they look at me like, no, I'm good. Thank you.
Well, at the end of the day, most don't want to. I mean, they want to feel like they're a part of the business, but they don't want the responsibilities and the tasks that come along with running a business. And I mean, that's obviously, I mean, that's why there's not more. I mean, if everyone wanted to be a business owner, then we would have an issue. But that's not the case. And that's why it's just an irrational fear that people have, because not everyone wants to be a business owner.
Yeah. And I feel like this is that fear of taking that first step. You see it across the whole board. The first fear of walking into a gym, the first fear of hiring your first trainer, then it's the fear of becoming a trainer, and then so on and so forth, escalating all the way up, which you look back and you're like, why was I afraid of that?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's all nonsense. It's not based on anything.
Love that point, man. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So tell us a little bit about your podcast and what kind of guest speakers you have on and how it can help people who are looking to start their own business and et cetera. So talk a little bit about it.
Yeah. So obviously the podcast is called Fitness Business Foundations. And I call it that for a reason, because like my approach is like helping you actually build a real business and having a solid foundation to stand on. So then you can have a business that can grow, it can thrive, it can provide the lifestyle that you want. And like, as I mentioned before, not a business that is all like smoke and mirror and relies on constant advertising and challenges and all this stuff just to stay afloat. So with that, we do have, I'll bring on obviously like guest speakers like yourself with that own facilities.
Best
to be
episode,
able to
not to brag.
yeah, absolutely. Number one. And to be able to share their stories and insights. And what this does is it just stimulates creativity, because you're going to hear what other people have done, what their successes were, what some failures they had, and you can kind of morph it into your own messaging and what makes sense for you and your journey. And that's the biggest thing that I want to put in the power of like fitness business owners, remembering that it's your business. Like you need to be the guide and the creative director in it, and not giving that power to somebody else. And that's what I see too often, that these people, like these fitness business owners, searching for like this guru that's going to all of a sudden make their business a super success and grow it overnight and have all this massive success and everything. And like, what, that's just not realistic. And then you're giving your ownership power away to somebody who's not even invested into your business. I mean, that makes no sense. So the whole point is I want to keep the power in the owner, to be able to have that creativity and know how to guide your business the right way. So that's one reason why I bring the owners on. And then I will have like different guest speakers in different niches, like experts in different areas from finance to marketing, copywriting, branding, money mindset, that type of stuff. All the things that, again, everybody that I bring on is for a purpose, and it's all around that all encompassing idea of building a solid business. And then I'll do like one episode a week where it's actually just me. I'll do like a solo episode where I'm just talking on a different topic. And kind of, I usually keep those ones shorter and to the point, and more focused on a specific like action step that you can start implementing in your business right away. For like today's episode, for instance, I did it on the power of polls and like why you should be implementing polls more frequently into your business. And if you're not, it can really affect how well you can serve your clients. And there's a reason why some of the biggest businesses in the world do constant polling. So like I'll do like things like that, like where I'll talk on different topics like that like again build a solid fitness business, and are also actionable that you can start implementing right away.
Love that, man. Thank you. It's a little. I listen to it personally. I'm a big fan of podcasts, clearly, because I started my own, and you're half the inspiration that I'm doing my own anyway. So
nice. No, everybody should be doing a podcast. Like everybody should be. I mean, there's no reason. If you're a business owner, you should be having a podcast.
See, guys, everybody should be doing it, not just thank you.
No. I mean, and even if you're not a business owner, I mean, if you got a story to tell and you can connect with people, just do it. I mean, it's an awesome platform, and I really like about it is like there's no algorithms controlling podcasting. Like it's not like social media in the sense where you have to like certain people can really blow up and certain people can't no matter what you do. Whereas like podcasting, it's really an even playing field. And the best thing about it is just the relationships that you build through it too.
This is so true. I got to meet some awesome people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if you weren't doing it, then that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, exactly. I love the way you talked about it. So you have episodes with yourself and they're shorter. What crossed my mind was when I did mine on my own, it's like, it's hard talking just into a microphone.
It is. It is really hard. It's absolutely hard. It's awkward. It's just not natural.
You're talking and no one's talking back. And it's like,
yeah.
What?
No, it's definitely, and that's where like something like I'll do for like myself just to keep me on point. Like I actually will like type out like some of the major things that I want to say, just so I keep like a flow and I don't forget to say something that I really want to say.
Yeah.
And I found that to help a lot, rather than like in the beginning I used to just like turn it on and just start talking, and you kind of can get on some rambling tangents sometimes. And you're like, yeah, that really wasn't that great, but
I get it.
yeah.
I know you mentioned you have a mentorship program. So for those that are interested, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that the best, I'm happy to connect on social media. I mean, on Facebook, Justin Hanover, Instagram, Justin.Hanover. Um, and if you are interested in working with me in a mentorship capacity, it's just fitnessbusinessfoundations.com/mentorship. And you can we set up a phone call and we just talk and kind of see where you're at and see if it makes sense to do anything together.
I like that. Nice and easy.
Yeah.
Any last minute inspirational advice you can give people that are sitting here going, oh no, what should I do?
I don't, just stop and breathe. I think that's the big thing. People just need to that's one thing that I love about what we're going through right now is just really, it's giving people a moment to really stop and reflect on what matters and what they actually need to be putting their energy into moving forward. Because I think sometimes people are just go. And without any real thought behind the direction you want to go into, again, which ties it back into for those business owners out there that that's such an important thing to do. And it's you really need to take time to reflect and making sure that you're moving forward and always designing the life that you want. That's my underlining bigger message that I always say to people. It's we're not here to just work. We're not here to just build a business. We're here to live and to create a life. And what is that life that you want? What is that legacy that you want? Not just that you were a good employee or that you had a good business. It has something deeper than that. You have a purpose. Share it.
I absolutely love that, because to a lot of people, I hear them complaining oh, I got to go to work today. I got to go do this. I'm like, I get to go to work today. Hell yeah.
Absolutely. It's from a have to a get.
Yeah, you do. A third of your life is spent working. So why not do something you love? So what if you make maybe a little less in the beginning? If you're not happy doing it, it puts such a toll on your body and you just get depressed, sluggish. Then it can lead to so many other different medical issues. But why not enjoy what you do? And for a lot of those people, I think this is the answer: fitness.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more.
It is I don't want to see it but one of the fastest growing industries, because people are realizing how important. I got to be honest, after this is where the country's heading, because they showed left and right how important it is to make sure you keep yourself healthy to avoid big things like this.
No, absolutely. And that's what they said. They had numerous reports. I mean, most of the people that were passing from this virus were people that are overweight and had obviously health complications. So, I mean, if that's not a wake-up call, I don't know what is. But to say on your token, on how people transition into fitness, and it's so true because you see people who are high up in the financial world, all of a sudden being I'm going to go open a fitness place. And it's they make these transitions because it's a very personal journey of getting into this. And it's interesting because really ultimately there's really not much anything else that's more important than your health. I mean, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. And I think that's what rocks a lot of people. Once they finally realize that, they're oh my God, I've been living this life all wrong and focusing on the wrong things. And once that finally clicks with them, I think that's what guides them into the fitness world then.
Yeah, exactly. And then they want to help other people. And then that leads to becoming a trainer. And they're oh, wow, I can really pass this message on and really make something of it, which was an eye opener to me. I get to help other people and share my story. I'm going to start a podcast and tell everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's some of that's what you remember too. So whatever you think is a stupid idea, it isn't, because someone has done something else out there that was originally thought a stupid idea, and now they're wildly successfit's with it in whatever capacity that is. Yeah, it's there's
someone bent metal and is a billionaire.
I would say it's pool noodles. It's stupid foam. It's and people think they are chia pets. It's why is that a thing? But it is, and that's something to remember. Or even podcasts, nobody can judge your story, and your story is going to connect with people. So don't keep it to yourself. Share it. I know that this one guy, Like he has a wildly successful podcast, and it's all about his life growing up in a Baptist church, and like he's like sharing the stories behind that and everything, and he like gets like he has an insane audience. Like he'll get like easily like 10,000 downloads an episode. Like it's
Wow.
freaking
What's the
insane.
name of that one?
He's like, I think it's something like preachers. I'll have to send it to you. I don't remember the exact. I don't want to say the wrong.
We'll put it
name.
in the show notes.
Yeah, I don't want to say the wrong name. But I mean, like someone on the outside would think, like, well, why would that be a successful podcast? And if he thought that, then obviously it wouldn't be what it is. He wouldn't be connecting with those people the way that he is. So I mean, don't ever sell yourself short.
Yeah, I have someone, a buddy of mine started a podcast at the same time I did. His is on paintballing.
Yeah,
and he's doing great with it.
Absolutely. And those niche markets are even better, because they have like solid followings. Like those people like eat, breathe, and like love paintball. They're gonna find that and latch onto it.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Thank you so much, Justin. Really appreciate all your advice. If anyone has any questions, can they reach out to you or just ask you a quick question? Can I put your email and stuff in the show notes?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more than happy to answer any question, any capacity, or offer any help that I can.
Perfect. Thank you. And anyways, thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Health and Fitness Redefined. Don't forget to subscribe to our show and join us next week as we dive deeper into this ever-changing field. And remember, fitness is the journey, not a destination. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Anthony.